Hi and welcome to this guide video for Aliens Colonial Marines using the ACM Overhaul mod. I made this video in order to guide gamers through some of the bugs that are common in this mission, and this is mission 4, No Hope in Hadley's, and some of the bugs were there in the vanilla version and some seems to be more common when you use the Overhaul mod. So I will show you how I tackled two of the most serious ones that could potentially get you stuck in the game. And the first one can be found in this area, the operations area where Cruz is hanging out. And you have a couple of set piece moments in the mission in this one. First you need to fight off the onrushing horde of xenos, and after that you will have a mission to get one of the abandoned sentries here and deploy it in the very same area. So you'll eventually get this from Cruz. Get the old sentry. Do you remember where it was? So now you need to go and get it, which shouldn't be a problem. It's not too far off. And this is the first time you use the sentry in games. You will also get a short description on how to actually use the sentry. And this is also another thing that quite a few players actually struggle with, how to place this sentry. And it actually does tell you, if you're on PC at least, that you can simply hold down the left mouse button and just push it in and hold it in, and you'll get a little bar showing up. You'll see it here in a few seconds. So holding it in, deploying, and simply hold it until it's done. And when this is in place, the next piece of action will soon kick off and you'll get another wave of xenos coming in. So simply either let the AI and turret make short work of them or do it yourself. But eventually, you'll run out of enemies. Yes, and when this happens, nothing else could happen. So you're left standing around this room and nothing else happens. And what usually is the case behind this is that aliens could get stuck outside of this area where you cannot see them. And in order to continue, you would have to either get lucky and throw like a grenade and kill them, or as it turns out, you can just hang around and wait. If you do nothing for about 2.5 minutes, the game will actually force the next part of this mission and Cruz will start talking to you again. But that is very hard to know, and I struggled before I found that solution. This is why I'm running around right now looking for surviving aliens, but you can actually just wait for about 2.5 minutes for Cruz to continue the mission for you. So eventually you will get the checkpoint and Cruz will start talking to you again about Reed and Bella going dark, and that he needs you and O'Neill to head over there and check out what happened, and you need to go through the tunnels, and you should also bring the smart gun with you. So pick that up and continue on with the mission. And the smart gun is in the big box that Cruz is standing at right now. So when he's talked and opened the box, you can pick up the smart gun, and it has quite a lot of ammunition, about 500 rounds, but unfortunately that is not nearly enough to handle what could happen. So he will open up the next area and you and O'Neill will head down and into the long corridor that they were talking about. And this corridor is filled with xenos. So the corridor that we are talking about is through this small door at the bottom of the steps, and you need to go through all of it to get to the next checkpoint. O'Neill is there to help you, but he is more or less worthless. He either goes off and does the wrong things, doesn't follow you at all, just stands around. At best, he is in the way of some of the enemies coming at you, and this area is filled with them. There are a lot of aliens, and they do go down fairly quickly, and you have 500 rounds, but as I will point out, that's not nearly enough. So, in the vanilla version of the game, there's a finite number of enemies in this area. I'm not sure how many there are, and there could be a few of them, but they have an end, so to speak. In the Overhaul mod, however, they have the bug active that the spawning never ends. So at the very end of this corridor, there's a grate, and it continuously spawns aliens. So you could stay here and just run out of ammunition eventually, because they will not stop spawning. And that's something that you, well, obviously you will not know that when you go down here, but that's the case. So what you need to do, and what I'm not doing at this point in my first run here, is that you need to continuously press forward. So, jumping forwards, this is when I had sort of found my strategy for this area. So as you can see, I am much more aggressive now, and I am trying to push forward. And also, at times, looking behind me. But yes, pushing forward. There is a side area where you can go in for some armor, some health, and also dog tag collectibles. So if you want to chance it, I would recommend that you go into this area, because you could do with some more body armor almost at every time in this game. And at some point, O'Neill will start talking again. And that doesn't mean that he's anywhere close to you at all. So you can now see the end of the corridor. And at this point, I ran out of ammunition. And I would strongly suggest that you now use the S.H.A.R.P rifle, because that is a one hit, one kill weapon. And now just rush it, push forward and just lay into them. One thing you must think about if you use the S.H.A.R.P rifle is that the splash damage is powerful. So you could end up killing yourself if you're too trigger happy. But you want to get to this door. And the good thing about this little area is that this is where O'Neill has to eventually show up to trigger the next checkpoint. But also, they cannot get to you from behind because you have your back against the wall. So you can just simply defend this little ramp until O'Neill eventually shows up, and he does eventually show up, but it might take quite a while. So be on your toes, and in a second here you see, yeah, that was me getting hit by the splash damage. If I hadn't had the armor, that would have killed me. So here it is, the trigger, so to speak. When he starts talking again, you know he is close by, because that will mean that he has entered the area in which we are waiting for him. And there you have it, checkpoint reached. So at this point you can have a bit more liberty to go out and do some more heads-on action and scrounge for health and armor or ammunition, because if you die at this point, you'll, as I did there, you'll respawn in this very area. So you respawn at the opening of this area, and it might actually be advantageous to die when you're sure you have that checkpoint, because the never-ending rush of enemies will also stop. So make sure you have the checkpoint, and then if you want to have a bit of an easier time, just kill yourself and respawn in this room. And from there on, there shouldn't be a problem to continue the mission. There isn't very much left of it to go. But now we have made it through the rough part. I hope this little video helped you. Thank you for watching this guide video for how to handle bugs and other oddities in Mission 4 of Aliens Colonial Marines. I hoped it helped you. I would love it if you dropped a sub or like on the video or the channel, and if I saw you again in future videos. But for now, it is time to say bye-bye.